Okay, welcome to what I think is my first unboxing video. I'm recording the audio later with Audacity because I don't like the microphone on my phone, which is what I use to record this video. I had just received this package from B&H Photo, and I'm using my trusty DeWalt pocket knife to open the package. First, we have to remove all these protective plastic things, which, as you can see, I'm just tossing to the side. What I have here is a Godox LEDP260C video light, which you can read on the package. Instead of zooming in, I just held it closer to the camera. So, very nice of me. This is the back of the box where it shows the back of the light, as well as lists the features, 256 LED bulbs, which I am powering with DC power, not with the lithium-ion batteries, which are not included. Let's set that aside. The other thing that I bought is an array telescoping tabletop microphone stand. The idea here was that I needed better lighting for my videos, which I'm making on my other channel. Did you know I had another channel? I also bought a mic stand adapter to adjust the 5/8 thread on top of the microphone stand to a 1/4 in case I needed it. And it turns out I actually did need that. Yeah, that's a 5/8 thread on the inside female and a 1/4 male thread on the top of this adapter with a rubber washer, which comes in handy. And the other thing I bought was also by Array, which is a boom arm. It's for a specific mic stand, but it said in the description that it would work with other mic stands. But this is the case where that wasn't entirely true. So because it turns out to not have a 5/8 female thread in the attachment portion of it, it can take a 5/8 stud or spigot. But this is the telescoping boom arm, which I will now remove from the package. Or remove the package from it. That is the part that I thought was going to have the 5. No, I apologize. That part does have the 5/8 female thread to attach to the top of the mic stand. And it has a 5/8 thread there. It was the part of the Godox light that did not have the 5/8 thread in it. It would only take a spigot. It would actually not fit on there. So that's why it did come in handy for me to get the adapter. I can screw the adapter onto that 5/8 thread and then screw a spigot onto the adapter to hold the Godox light fixture. That is cable management, plastic attachment. This that loosens that part so that the swivel part can slide up and down. That's an extension arm for this boom. Goes back in, tightens up. Very handy, very sturdy. I was actually pretty impressed with how that piece was made. And this microphone stand, I actually have another one exactly like it, which I'm using for the microphone that I'm speaking into right now, sitting on my desk. Rather than a boom arm, I cannot get one of those microphone boom arms for my desk because I have a glass tabletop. So I cannot clamp those boom arms onto this desktop. At least I am pretty sure. I haven't tried it, but I really don't want to risk cracking my glass. So I'm using these weighted tabletop microphone stands to hold up things. And I thought in this case I would use it to hold up the Godox light, which I wanted to place behind my monitor off to the right to light the shadowed side of my face. This attaches very obviously, and as I said, I have one exactly like it already. So it didn't take me long to figure out how to screw that in there, and then it has 5 rubberized feet. That was me blowing some dust out of that, if you heard that audio. So it does not scratch the glass tabletop. Again, I don't know how that's pronounced. It might be array, but it looks like array. This one does telescope up another 8 inches or so. I believe the maximum height is about 18 inches. And this, as I have said, does have a 5/8 thread female thread, which I will now demonstrate how to attach to the top of the mic stand by turning it around and around. In case you haven't ever put a screw into a receptacle. And yeah, wow, that looked like it was going to hit my camera, but it did not. So I must have been being very careful. I usually am. Anyway, let's tighten that up there. Make sure that the telescoping part is tightened, and it can extend. And then I'm turning it the wrong way now. I need to turn it the other way to tighten it. And it does appear to be tight now. So it will stand up. The boom arm will adjust. And tighten in various places. And the weight of the mic stand will hold it in place. As you can see, it has quite a bit of height to it with the boom arm attached. Let's move some of this trash aside and set it here. Now I'm going to open the light, which was the main reason for my purchase. It's have to pull these little flaps out first and then figure out how to get the rest of the top of the box open. Is there another flap here? No, there is not. Nope, just need to open it. There we go. My camera's having a hard time focusing, even though I'm in decent lighting with some high contrast items. It should not have that much trouble focusing. There are some other items in that box, but let's get the light out. This is the important part. It was a little bigger than I thought it would be. The light panel itself, not counting the edges, the borders, just the white part, is about 13 inches wide, and I think 8.5 inches in the other dimension. And it's not very thick. As you can see when I flip it over here, the whole thing is less than an inch thick from front to back. But on the back there are battery attachments, which I'm not going to use, but there is a adjustment knob and a power button, power switch. Right next to the power switch there was the attachment point for the DC power or AC power adapter. I think it says DC on the item, but I am plugging it into AC power. In here is the remote control, which takes 2 AAA batteries, not included. You have to hopefully have those already, which most of us do. The remote is actually pretty impressive. I was surprised that it had a little screen on it. And here we get the power adapter and the little stand. This little stand is the part that forced me to need that adapter, so I'm glad that I got it. That part right there does not have threads inside. It's supposed to sit on top of that light stand and boom arm. Now these points do fit perfectly into the back of the Godox LED light panel, which I am going to figure out how to do now. Line up the 4 holes and slide up. Nope, it doesn't work. You have to push a little button on the back. Right there. You've found it. And then it slides in there. And it's pretty secure. I was surprised by that. It's made out of plastic, but you can loosen the knob and turn this so you can position the light panel tilting downward or upward depending on what you need, and then tighten it back. But again, the female receptacle there did not have threads, so I had to use a spigot, which fortunately I already had and can use with the thread adapter that I purchased here. Yep, there's the AC power adapter. It plugs right in. And we're going to go set things up and give it a shot. Okay, now I have the Godox LEDP260C set up on the microphone stand. I did not use the boom arm here that you saw earlier in the video because, as I mentioned, the top of this wouldn't fit on the threads, but it would fit over the threads on the mic stand. As you can see, I've turned it on using the switch, and now I'm using the dial to dial down the intensity. Just behind my fingers, you can see the percentage dropping from 100% down into the 30s and now 20s, and I believe it'll go down to 10%. Let's see. This is the absolute minimum. Now, the problem with showing this in a video that was taken using a smartphone, you can see that my hand is very bright right in front of the light, but not very bright when off the light, when outside the beam of the light. The problem with using a smartphone to record this is that the exposure settings are automated, that the camera's exposure changes, but you can see that my hand gets dark outside the beam of the light. But the the camera adjusts for how bright the light is. So this was a mistake on my part. Here, I'm trying to figure out the remote. It's not working. I have put batteries in it, but it's not adjusting the light. It took me a few seconds. Yeah, here I was trying to see if it would work from the front, but no. It took me a few seconds to realize that there are groups, and the light was set to group 11A. So I had to set the remote to group 11A before that would work. And there you can, yeah, there I'm trying to adjust the group, and I figured it out. So I'm setting the remote to work with group 11A. This wasn't immediately obvious to me. It certainly wasn't intuitive. I probably should have read the instructions, but I definitely think that the light and the remote should have defaulted to the same group, like 1A or something like that. Regardless, I did figure it out. Yep, there it goes. But I have set it to some default setting that was in the remote, which is 4400 Kelvin and 40% for some reason. So here I'm increasing the light percentage using the remote. I'm pressing the plus button, increasing the percentage up into the 80s, the 90s, and 100%. And in a minute, I will figure out how to change. Oh, there I did figure out how to turn it off and back on using the remote, which is really cool. And it's going to take me a second to figure out how to change the color temperature. This one has a minimum of 3300 and a maximum of 5600. 5600 Kelvin is closer to sunlight or daylight, whereas 3300 is closer to a sunset or the soft warm light bulbs that you might see in a bedside lamp. However, again, the camera adjusts not only exposure but color temperature. So as I'm changing it here, it may not be that obvious. Where it might be obvious is in the corners of the screen that are still being lit by the room light, that they're changing in proportion or in a ratio with this. You can also see in the very lower foreground, the table, the shadow on the table, that's being fully lit by the light in the room, which is normally pretty bright. So here, as I get this down to 10%, you can see the difference between that shadow and where the light is lighting is not that different. But as I raise the light's percentage up toward 100, the difference between the shadow on the table and the well-lit chessboard becomes more apparent. That just shows that this light, especially at that distance, is very bright. I will try to... Oh, and there's a screen on the remote that shows what the settings are. Anyway, hopefully that was enjoyable and useful to you. Thank you for watching.